Thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargaming Labs. So, I recently picked up a copy of the latest expansion for Space Marine Adventures. This one is Rise of the Orks. Now, when I say expansion, this is actually a new starter box exclusive to Barnes & Nobles in the United States. $50. Let's see what we get inside. That's a solid box. Alright, so get one pack all wrapped in plastic. So this appears to be the board and the counters. Notice you don't get orc models with this set, so it looks like we're going to be using counters. Similar into the Space Marine Adventures, the first one where they used Necrons and they used counters for the Necrons. Now we have the background book and some other advertisements, some artwork, and miniatures. So these are the miniatures from the Series 2 run. These are the little package box Terminators that you could buy at Barnes & Nobles that came one at a time. So it looks like they're re-releasing those in this game. They did the same thing with the other Space Marine Adventures Tactical Marines. These ones, however, are colored differently, so they represent each chapter that you'll be playing with. So we'll get those put together. 1d6. Alright, and our card pack. So I'm going to stop, get all the stuff opened up, read the book, and get these guys assembled, and then we'll get some thoughts in on this game. Now I've finished going through the box, and when you store it, this is how it's going to look. So, this on the top is going to be your board, and you have room for your rule book. And what I enjoy about these cases is there's a spot for everything. So your Terminators are actually pretty well protected. They fit in a little slot right there, and they don't actually touch anything outside the slot. You see we have our tokens here for the Orks, which I've left out. You have the Terminator cards, your deck, and all your tokens, and your die all have a little spot to be. So, very good for traveling with, as long as you don't put it into stowage on an airplane. But let's get a look at the board. So this is the board, and what you're trying to replicate is an adventure on a Imperial world in the Warhammer 40k world, and your little group of Terminators has to protect a shield generator. So the Orks are invading, these shield generators are keeping the Orks out, but a little Orc strike squad is coming in trying to take the generators down so the rest of the group can get in. Your job is to keep the generators open. So what you'll notice is the setup zone is right here. You have 6 hexes, but you only have 5 Terminators. So you start the game by setting up your Terminators all around the board. Now, something that's good about this game is they call it a co-op game because the idea is that you have 5 Terminators, you have 5 playing cards for each Terminator. Well, 1 playing card per Terminator, so 5 in total. And each has different abilities, move distances, weapon systems, to give it a little variety. So the idea is this is a 5-person game. If you don't have 5 people, the idea is some other player will take over however many Terminators until everyone has a character. What that means is this is not just a co-op game, but it is also a solo game. You just take over all 5 Terminators, which I enjoy. I like the ability that I can play a game with my models without having to have everyone else there or go someplace to set up a game. Now after you set up, you can also pick a difficulty level. So novice, warrior, veteran, and the hardest, commander. Now what these difficulty cards do is they tell you how many orc tokens you're going to need. And they also tell you how many orcs per wave, the size of the orc horde. And what happens is once you pick your difficulty level, your Terminators are already arranged on the board, but each one of these is the spot that the orcs will enter the board. Now you've set up before you know where the orcs are going to go, and even the orcs don't know where they're going to go, because that is determined randomly by the die. And that die pocket's really firm in there. Come on. There we go. So the idea is once you've got your difficulty level picked out, it tells you how many orcs per horde. Go token by token and you will roll. So we'll take this token, or pain doc, and 2. So he'll go to the 2. So this can actually lead to a situation of where all your orcs may be coming in through one direction, but you set up over here. And as the game proceeds, it's in waves. So you could have a situation of where a massive orc horde came through there. You went to go fight them, to hold them back. But then in the next wave, they all come through the opposite end of the board. And so you've got to get over there to protect these shield generators. And there's little shield generator tokens on the board, and the idea is they're trying to grab those. Now, victory conditions are basically determined by how many Terminators the orcs kill. If they get down to a certain number, they're able to bring the generators down. If they're able to take out too many of the shield generating tokens, then they win. Or you can win by killing off all the orcs before they come on the board. And the victory conditions are variated. So you can have something where you're able to protect all the shield tokens, which means, okay, you have a perfect victory. Then if you could only protect 5 of the 6, it's not so great victory, and it moves on down from there. Really, when you set this up to get on the good side of the victory table, which is defined in the rulebook, you really can't have more than 3 Terminators killed or lose more than 3 guys in there. So that's in the victory conditions, either through the grit tracker of how many, which is in the upper left part of the board, how many Terminators get taken down, or power reactor tokens. I just left these off. You see you have 10 different types of orc tokens. Now, you figure, well, that's fine. The mechanics, this has a nice little reference sheet on the back telling you how to read all the little parts of the token. So this is nice because even if you know the rules, you know the round order. So orc wave, Terminators fight, orcs fight, wash, rinse, repeat over and over. But some of the special characteristics of your opponents, because you'll have your card in front of you, so you won't need that on this. But the idea is that the orcs just come at you. These are actually abstractions. So some of these represent like 5 orcs in a movement. But I've got some orc models, I might swap those out. But as you can see, you have setup, orc wave, Terminators fight, orcs fight back. And the orcs are basically designed by an artificial intelligence mechanic in the game to head straight for the shield mechanics or straight for the Terminators, whichever is closer. And if they're equally close, they head for the shield generators. Now this creates an issue as when you set up the board and with all the different entrances, not every hex, not every setup has clear line of sight, so you've got to move around. Of course, if you move around, you expose your flanks to the other entry points. But after a while, that might get a little boring, so what they have is a deck of cards. So these are boosts or buffs to your character that add, you're able to shoot better, resist damage, and that can be achieved by grabbing little supply tokens that are spread around the board. So you can always hope, like, well, I'm going to storm into this orc horde, I'm going to grab a supply token, and maybe it'll give me something to take them down better. So no game will ever be the same because you have these cards to add variability into it. And as I'm sure they'll do with other follow-on expansions, because it's with the Space Marine Adventures Necrons, they had expansion sets. I'm sure this game already has expansion sets on the way, so we'll see how they modify the board or the mission space on here. So, final review, just under 50 bucks. You take the retail plus the tax. I enjoy it. Just for the reason that it's a solo play game where I can use my Games Workshop models. It's actually a very simple mechanic, something I liked about Combat Arena. I could teach other members of my family who I'm trapped in the house with to play that game. They might not like it, but they learned how to play it very quickly. This game mechanic is even simpler, so I could see children of ages, definitely 8 and up, being able to do this game. The models are very well sculpted, but they go together quite easily. And actually had almost no mold lines on them, so they just pop together. I still use glue. So I think this game, definite buy. So thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargaming Labs, and we'll see you next time.